Hi, this is video lecture 12.1 on the post-war years. It's also our unit on the Roaring Twenties. Just after World War I, the economy was in an interesting state of adjustment as businesses weren't making nearly as much money because the war was over, and yet prices were continuing to increase, and so people had to adjust to this new time period. One of the ways that they adjusted was to develop this idea of nativism, and this is sort of an attitude that native-born Americans sort of had a prejudice against immigrants who were born not in the United States. This concept of nativism really came to a head in a very famous case known as Sacco and Vanzetti. Mr. Sacco was an Italian immigrant. He was a shoemaker and an anarchist. And Mr. Vanzetti was also an Italian immigrant. He was a fish peddler and also an anarchist. And an anarchist is someone who does not believe in government at all. They believe that society should be run without government. Both of them were arrested for robbery and murder. This case became very, very famous because many people believed that the evidence that they had against Sacco and Vanzetti was really kind of sketchy. It was circumstantial evidence, not a whole lot of evidence that proved that these guys were actually at the scene of the robbery and the murder. Needless to say, the judge found them both guilty, and just before their death sentence, Mr. Vanzetti made a very famous speech. In all of my life, I have never stole, never killed, and never spilled the blood. We were tried during a time when there was hysteria of resentment and hate against the people of our principles against the foreigner. And I am suffering because I am a radical, and indeed I am a radical. I have suffered because I was an Italian, and indeed I am an Italian. If you could execute me 2 times, and if I could be reborn 2 more other times, I would live again to do exactly what I have done already. On August 23rd, 1927, Sacco and Vanzetti were put to death by the electric chair. And word spread across the world, and many of the nations across the world were outraged. And people were outraged because of what had happened to Sacco and Vanzetti, because they felt like through this concept of nativism and through the American attitude that they were against these foreign people, that's why they were put to death. Not because there was great evidence against them that they actually killed, that they actually murdered. There was also a sentiment during this time period of keep America for Americans, and so you saw a resurgence of the Ku Klux Klan, right? The KKK. They had 3 goals now in this time period of the 20s. 100% Americanism. If anything was foreign, they didn't want it. Keep blacks in their place. And foreign-born out. Keep all foreign-born citizens out of the United States. The United States government also sort of helped in this by developing a quota system. This quota system severely restricted the immigrants that were allowed to come into the United States. So beginning in 1921, you'll notice that there is a huge decrease in the amount of immigrants that are allowed into the United States. All of these ideas came together in this concept, or this idea, all of these events came together in this idea of isolationism. isolationism was sort of a belief that many Americans said that we need to back away from world affairs. We need to not be involved. We got involved in World War I, but you know what? Now in this time period of the 20s, we need to take care of ourselves and not worry so much about world affairs. So you have from Sacco and Vanzetti this world famous case. As you guys will see, that sort of plays into this idea of the Red Scare. And then all of these events together come with this isolation, and what we're going to look over the next couple of days is to decide if we really were an isolationist nation. Did we really isolate ourselves from the world, or did we just say we were, that we were an isolationist nation, but we really stayed involved? That's what we're going to uncover over the next couple of days. Thanks.